The game world in Albion is built of many maps. They all have the same resources, they all have pretty much the same mobs, and this has historical reasons. Albion was built by a very small team and it needed to grow really fast. My name's Jörg, I'm a creative director on Albion Online. As part of that, I'm actually took over the responsibility of building the game world and the level design mainly. So one of the things that we also got as a consistent feedback from the community after we started the beta was that the world doesn't feel alive. Too samey, too repetitive, not having enough variation. At the same time, because the beta was so successful, we saw, okay, obviously there are enough players that trust us to push this game forward, and maybe we should take a step back and maybe we should take the time to improve on this. We sat together, all designers, the game director, and our founders, and we thought, okay, how do we move on? Is the Albion, as we have it right now in the beta, really the game that we want to launch now? Our conclusion was, not quite yet. There are certain parts that we really want to improve, there are certain parts that we really want to work on, and the biggest part of that is the game world. We took a look at how the world actually works. Well, one of the things that really stands out is that you usually have different biomes. And they can be found in Albion, but they are all contained in one singular map. So basically, if you go in the next map, you have all these different areas again. And that's something we need to move away from if we want to create a believable world. The most significant change is going to be the introduction of the biomes. Each biome will have its own flora and fauna, so it will have its own mobs and it will bring its own resources. So in the future, in the new world, you will find fiber not in every map, but mainly in swamp areas. Imagine there's a huge city in the mountains. So this city will have way more ore than a city, say, in the forest. But both cities, the inhabitants, the players of both cities, need the resources of the other place. So we will encourage trading and bringing one resource to the other, from one marketplace to the other marketplace. It seems that Albion has two main groups of players. One is basically the kind of people that like to play in huge guilds and they like to dominate an area. They like to fight for territories. They fight other guilds, they fight for power all the time. But there are other players that actually want to roleplay. They want to become a gatherer or they want to become a merchant. And while they like some PvP, they don't want to be ganged by and circled by massive guilds all the time. How can we build a world that caters to both types of players? And one of the ways we do that is basically reintroduce the lawless continent, the Outlands. These are the areas where the king's power is not strong enough to hold up any law. This is where the huge guilds can fight each other and struggle for power. And this is also the home of the most precious resources. And on the other hand, we have the royal continents. And the royal continents, there's still the king still has some power. So there is still a law in place. So if you want to become a murderer and if you kill other people, you can still do that, but you will have to face the consequences. If you do that too often, eventually the royal cities will not allow you to go back in. I will introduce the reputation system, which will come with the next beta phase. And in order for this to work, we actually need to rebuild the world and separate it in these areas. The team has grown a lot because actually creating this entire new world, which will be roughly double in size of what you know right now from Albion. We are now 3 times as many artists and 3 times as many level designers as we were at Summer Alpha. So we really got up to speed. But again, building this world entirely new is a huge challenge, and we're all very busy with that right now.
My name is Koch and I'm art director for Albion Online. I create the visual feeling, the look and feel for the project. I create the inspiration for characters, for the world in general, and From there, we give it to a lot of artists to actually create the whole thing. For a very long time in the past, we were restricted to a very limited amount of zones, and suddenly we actually have the chance to explore a world which feels much more alive than in the past, where we were restricted to a very limited amount of different biomes. Right now, we can actually really step deeper into it. A swamp will look like a swamp, will feel like a swamp. You will actually explore nature, plants, animals. Here you can see how I'm working on an overpaint for the new biome, which is the steppes. Currently, I'm defining the color approach for 3 different danger zones, which is green, red and dead zones.
My name is Max and I'm a level designer at Albion Online. I increased world size for us. What's important to me as a developer, but also as a player, is a map that changes. I want a world that lives. What makes the new world unique compared to the old one is that we have a lot of different biomes. We have tried to make more diversity by not having only diversify the world in low, medium and high in terms of PvP, but actually having different types of land. It means that we have different sets and different rules for different areas. It means that the world is more local. Different guilds can live in different biomes and have a special resource that they trade with other guilds. The difference now with the resource system is that resources have a way of spawning randomly, so if you know that they will spawn in a special way, they will do that maybe for a certain amount of time, but in the future they might be different. This means that your guild might learn how they spawn right now and benefit from this. The template system is essentially a system which allows us to build the world faster. We split it down in several parts and use these parts over and over, but we also have layers, which means that we can have more uniqueness in one template. For example, a template could be a forest, but you don't want the forest to always look the same. So in some versions you have a village, and in other versions you have a destroyed village, maybe you have ruins or even difference in gameplay such as monsters.
Since the world of Albion is mainly a functional one, right? We have a player-driven economy. We need to make sure that everything works out. For example, that we do have enough wood on the continents and that we have enough resources that can cater to each other. So that means lots of planning. So first step is actually everybody sitting down and rebuilding the world. We did that first on paper. And really like shifting around biomes, shifting around cities, looking at the distances until we had something where we were quite happy with. And that kind of mandates how many maps we actually need to build and how many maps we need to build of each tier and of each biome.
The new world of Albion Online will be awesome because it will be so much more to explore than in the past.
One of the things that we want to achieve with the new world is that it actually matters where in the game world I am.
It's a very cool thing to build a world. It's something that most people don't get to do.
We are going really wide and exploring the world for different places, and you will actually really feel like a pioneer in a new world.